Hi, in this video I will show you how to put together this eyeball treat box, which is an SVG file from Simply Crafty SVGs. So this is the eyeball box. I've been wanting to make this since last year. I wanted to make it a little rounder. So this is a version with the blue eye. So I thought it would be fun because if you had like a bunch of these on a like as a gift or like in a party, like now, of course, this is the year of COVID. You know, having something at home where you can give somebody else a little bit of treats or candy in their own box, or just decorate the table. Anyways, it's just kind of a fun thing. I like it. It's one of my favorites, just because I finally figured out a way that would work without making it too difficult to put together. But anyways, so this is the eyeball box. So we're going to put a green one together. So these are the pieces for there's actually a couple things. So this is the actual box pieces. And of course the front with the little things coming out of the side. And this is part of the eyeball. So I actually put a little glitter, which is stickles. I used a paintbrush and put stickles on it to give it a gleam, because I didn't have exactly the glitter paper I wanted. I'm not really fond always of cutting glitter paper anyways, so this is American Crafts textured cardstock, as well as this, which is my preference. So I'm going to put that aside. These are the panels. They are kind of optional, but I made them white and I just kind of embossed them with some funky embossing. It is recommended, so if you don't put them on, it kind of topples, is front heavy, but if you put treats in it, you're never going to have that problem. So if you choose not to use those, I'm going to show you with them, but if you choose not to use those, that's fine. And then we have the in the middle of the eye in here. So the other thing is fun, if you want to actually use these, the cutouts, I just kept them just because, you know, you can put them on the back or on the inside, I don't know. It's just something fun. Just little extras. Sometimes I just keep those little extra pieces if they're cool looking for something later down the line, like a card or something. So let's go ahead and just put this eye together to get it ready. So I'm just going to take this. We're not going to put the red piece. We're just going to do the green and then the eyeball. So when you go ahead and glue this, just be careful with your glue. Don't get it towards the middle too much, and if you just kind of make it light near the openings, because we don't want it leaking out. If you do, you can kind of wipe some off with the tip, or I'm using art glitter glue and with this fine tip applicator. So we'll go ahead and I'll just center this. So we're just going to put this together and put it aside. And because I have the glitter part on top, some of it's coming off, so sometimes it's easier for me just to flip it over and apply pressure. Then we'll go ahead and just add glue to the back of this. Just line it up. And this has a little foam, this is popped up with little Scotch foam tape, so I like the effect. Or you could just glue it on, but just going to ink these edges to get rid of this white around the edge. You can use any ink. And I'm just going to get a little bit of foam tape. Make sure I don't make it too big. I'm just going to center it. So make sure it kind of overlaps the little edges going in. So you can imagine a bunch of these on a table, like all different colors. Purple eyes, blue, green, even red, to make it more Halloweenish. So I'm going to put that aside with that red piece. I could go ahead and get these all folded. So these will fold just like this. So this is the back of it, and this will be the front of it. These will be the panels, so I'll just stick those because we're going to do the front first. This goes to the back as well. So we'll just push that aside and focus on this. So the way that this folds is like this. So this is where the eyeball will go. So once we get this folded, we'll do these pieces in a minute. Once we get this folded, let's go ahead and add glue to this tab. And then you're going to line this edge up. Don't go over that fold. Just go right up to it. Not exactly, you can just leave a tiny space. But line it up. Once you got it in place, apply some pressure there. Because it's white, you want to make sure you keep your fingertips clean. So I was just working with some black paper, so black ink and red ink come off, so just make sure I didn't have anything on my fingers. So we'll go ahead, once we get that together, we can go ahead and put this in here in the center. So what we're going to do is just glue it, and since I'm using textured, I'm going to glue the non-textured to the non-textured down here, because you're not going to see it. It's going to go like that, and this is where the red piece will go. So we're just going to go ahead and add glue to all these tabs. It's really not as hard as it seems. It's kind of an advanced, kind of just regular treat box. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I have one side lined up. So I'm lining this edge up to one of the sides. Once I get that in place, I'm just going to move around, rotate it, make sure that I get each edge in a tab fold to get it in the correct place. If it's slightly off, not a huge deal. This is pretty structural at this point, as you can see. Once you use glitter anywhere, it gets everywhere. So now we're going to put this outside edge on, but we just need to, normally I'd have this folded already, but we want to fold it. It's 8 sections. Both sides are exactly the same. So we're going to go ahead and add glue to this little side tab here. Again, with the first piece, you want to just go ahead, make sure they're facing the same way like this. And you're going to just line up this edge up to the fold. You don't want to go over the fold. And the reason why we're doing this is because we have to attach this to this, and we want to make sure that we don't, if we overlap it, this will be too small to attach to the outside of this. So now, due to the angle, we can't really flatten it too much, but what we can do is line it up like this, get it, that edge lined up to the tab fold, and then once we have it lined up, apply pressure. And if you wanted to, I mean, it's easy enough to do with your fingertips, but you could always flip it over at that point against the table. So now this is going to glue to that like this. So I'm going to kind of push these in. And we're going to add glue to one tab. And if you have one better edge than the other, you might want to situate it that way. I mean, like, you know, you can just turn it around the way you want. I'm going to line up this one edge. Make sure the smaller edge on the, you're taking the smaller edge, the other side will be too big. So I'm just lining it up right to that edge, just to get it anchored. So now you have two choices at this point. You can scooch them all in like this and add glue to them all and just go around. I do like to get the opposite tab from the first one. The reason I do that, it seems to center it better to get those other ones glued. So add glue to this. Whatever works for you at this point, but for those that are new, I just need to get it in place. So it's a little jiggling to get it in place before you start applying pressure. So I'm just getting it right lined up. And what this does is makes all these other ones so much easier to glue. So all you're going to do is add glue to the remaining 6 tabs. Just make sure they're lined up as you go around. So let's go ahead and do that. Just be careful with the amount of glue towards the fold, because you don't want it leaking too much out, but have your handy dandy wet damp paper towel ready to clean. And I'm just going to go around and line that up. It's pretty actually simple. I was trying to make it more complex at the beginning, but I wanted to make it simple enough to make multiple ones without hours and hours and hours of work. Because I envision a table with all these different colors. I don't know. Because you see little displays with a bunch of different color eyeballs. So I'm wiping my finger on my little wet paper towel over there. If you do like this project, I always would appreciate thumbs up, but I like comments and little thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe, and if you hit the little bell next to it, you will be notified when we have new designs and or tutorials. I haven't done a tutorial in a little while, but have a couple in mind. Always I try to find helpful things. So that's the front. So at this point, we're going to take this red piece, not the eyeball, the red piece, and glue it right in place right there. So the way I did it, and this is where it really comes in handy, there's either one of two things. Have a fine tip applicator like this one, and I have it in my notes what I use with art glitter glue, or something like a paintbrush, because it'll be easier to get these little small sections. But first I'm just going to add glue to this big part, then we're just going to fit it to the shape. Might not fit exactly, so just try to center it, because there is a little give and take when you glue that on. So I'm just trying to get it as close to center as possible. It's just a little bit off because of that inside piece. And then I'm just going to go ahead and flip this out around like that. And you wouldn't even notice it because once we put the little big eyeball on. So now, while it's upside down, just kind of want to take, like I said, you could use a little like really paintbrush or something, or just kind of, I'm just dotting it on. I kind of want to get all the way to the tip. There's also a zig pen that too you can use. That it's really thin, but this is easier because I'm not having to put pressure on it. I'm just kind of letting the glue flow out. So I did 4 of them. So all I'm going to do, just fold it over. And if there is excess glue, just make sure you have your little really damp paper towel. So I have one right here. I actually did a good amount of glue on these ones. And I only did 4, so I've got 3, 1 more, 4. So my glue didn't dry on me. You just have to really have a soft touch, or just wipe off the excess. Now that we have that part of the eye done, we'll go ahead and take these pieces. Again, I made the panels the same color as the box, but they're a different color in the actual file. So just make sure you're gluing them on the right places. So it's not going to be on the bottom right here. So let me actually make sure it's really clear. We're going to go ahead and glue this little tab right here, the side tab. It'll make it much clearer where to glue it. Then we're going to line this up. Oops. Don't move it before it dries. So the panels go right here, right here, right. This is the bottom piece right there. So 2 from the edge, so I still have glue on that. So if you want to use a pattern paper, I just like the looks of white. So of course you can change the color if you prefer white as well. You just have to make sure if you're using Cricut or something that you match up the color sync. Make sure that the color is set to white so it'll cut with the box. And like I said, if you don't use the panels, it's fine. It's optional. But if you don't, it'll be it'll be front heavy, and when it's empty, it'll kind of topple a little bit over. I just like the idea of a treat box better than a box that had a lid. I think more people at Halloween are apt to give. I know I was when I was making boxes for when I was in the corporate environment. I would take them to work and put things in them, and I was more likely to want to take that kind of box than like because it's just little things that you want to give people. Anyways, so now what we're gonna do, and that's the reason for this too, is to help with the top heavy, for the front heavy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna glue it like this to the back, and then this other panel is gonna cover it. So I just go ahead and add glue all at once to these 4 tabs. And then you can just do this. So I'm going to switch it around a little bit so you can see it. Go 1 tab at a time. Lift that up. Next one. The next one. And it's going to be easier to put this on before you put the front eye piece on. So I'm just going to add glue to this back piece to hide the tabs. But it's actually dual purpose. It kind of cleans up the box a little bit with the tabs inside, even though you can still see that bottom tab. And it gives a little weight to the back. In fact, if you are having trouble with it, you just want an empty box, you probably could just add another one of these panels in the back. Or just add something inside. Like a little treat for a treat box. Or if you just want to use it for decor, I mean, you could just put something in it. I would think you'd want to anyways, because it's got the big hole in it. I suppose you could always just use this by itself. It's always an option. So to me, now I'm gonna start on one side. So now that we have that together, we need to attach this like that. So it's best to start on one side. Just get that little corner set down. So just start with the section. You're going to glue it to the inside. To me, just getting this first one in was the hardest, because you want to make sure it's in the section. Once you get that set in place, we go ahead and you could gently lift that up to get underneath to add glue on the next one. You might want to do only 2 at a time just because of the angle. It is easier than making it look. I went the wrong direction for a right-handed person. So I'm just reaching in. I think I did it from the left earlier. So I'm just reaching in, and as I line this up on the outside and applying pressure on the inside. So as you flip around, you can go ahead and do each section. You can go ahead and flip it around and apply additional pressure against the table. So if you want to do 1 at a time, that's also an option, obviously. So that one I got off just a little bit. And it is easier just to kind of lift this up and add glue that way. This is the reason why I didn't put the eyeball on yet, because we don't want to, I don't want to handle it too much. I'll get those last 2 sections on. I'm not gonna lie, I mean, it's not like I just didn't get that bottom part on. But if you do 1 at a time to start, see if you can do 2 at a time. I just didn't get that bottom one on the greatest, and I'm just gonna add a little bit more glue in there. I actually put a little bit too much glue on that one. So you can always go around, reach in, apply additional pressure. You kind of can see what it looks like on the inside. And you have a place for your treat. So now all we got to do is add this little top piece. So you see how it's just going to go around that, so you can't see that octagon. So you just want to kind of get it centered so it's covering all these little corner edges. So I'd say just go ahead and do this. Don't get too close to the edge, and the reason is that we'll have a little wiggle room to move it in place. Oops, I want to make sure my little white thing's in the right direction for me. You can go either way, but I'm going to go, I want it to face the left. Just kind of looking at it, make sure it's where I want it. Then you can just flip it over and reach in and apply pressure. That finishes the box. Again, if you did like this project, please, I would appreciate a little thumbs up. And I just thought it was a fun, I hope other people think it's a fun Halloween deck box. Have different colors. And get that blue one next to it. So there they are. This is mismatched eyes, of course. My eyeball box that I can mark off my list that now that I made it. Well, I thank you so much for watching, and until next time.